everyone, and welcome to another episode of Real Life Struggles. My name is Lady Nalgas, and today we are broadcasting from Jefferson City in Missouri. My co-hosts are Madame Batopai and Senora Opai.
Tonight's episode is a day in the life of Christian C. Swurm, whose name, ironically, could stand for Christian, Cisgendered, Straight, White, Upperclass, Republican Man. What a great coincidence, considering those are all qualities that describe this fine gentleman.
It's a pity he has to go through such hardships every day. Let's take a look.
This is Christian C. Swurm. Every day he must suffer through terrible, incomparable struggles. He suffers. Every day he suffers. Some days the struggle is so great he regrets all of his supposed success. It's just so hard.
Here is Mr. Swurm going through his daily morning routine. He is forced to wake up at the painfully early time of 7 a.m. each morning to go to work.
His shoes were damaged by his wife's little rat dog, who decided that it was a chew toy, so he has been forced to wear his casual black Converse to work.
Tisk tisk, very unprofessional.
He is forced to swallow the bland, dry omelet and 2-week coffee his wife makes him. It pains him to compliment her cooking, so that she won't make him sleep on the couch at night.
His wife wears extremely conservative clothes that aren't even in good taste. It leaves everything to the imagination, which is to say, nothing at all. This poor man cannot even be afforded a nice view in the morning.
His coffee mug does not have a very good wash, and consequently sloshes on him sometimes as he drives to work in one of his 10 exquisite vehicles, staining his $300 pants and forcing him to wear coffee-stained clothes to work.
That can't possibly come close to the mild hardship of having ripped, torn, threadbare, or no clothes at all. Really, in comparison, the homeless are pretty well off.
Here he is at work. Mr. Swurm is the assistant CEO of Caucasia Industries, a company dedicated to maintaining the well-being of upstanding Caucasian citizens, particularly men. People have combated him, calling his company racist, even sexist.
No, that couldn't possibly be true. It's not like he doesn't serve women at all, just less so.
I know, but people will be people, and they will believe what they believe, even if they are falsehoods.
Look, here he is interviewing a potential new employee. Her name is Danny. Let's see how this plays out.
Hello, Mr. Swurm.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
So, why should I hire you, Danny?
Well, I'm an excellent worker and a phenomenal mathematician. I've had several previous accounting jobs and excelled at all of them, earning myself several promotions. I'm only switching the company I work for because I moved, so I could be closer to my girlfriend.
Your girlfriend?
Yeah, that's right. Her name's Maya. You'd love her. She's looking for a job as a secretary. Do you have any openings?
No, no openings. Definitely not. Not here.
Oh, I'm sorry for bringing it up then.
Well, looks like we're out of time. I'm a busy man. I've got things to do, people to see.
What,
I'll
already?
contact you with yes, okay, goodbye. Oh, Jesus. Please help that misguided, horrible soul to see the light and stop with her wrongful homosexual ways. First he does it, we'll all get AIDS and she'll burn in hell.
Wow, that was heart-wrenching.
That poor man, having to put up with a homosexual person. It must be horrible. Having to deal with the discrimination that comes with being a homosexual can't even hold a candle to that.
Doesn't anyone feel bad for Danny, though?
No way. She's one of those dirty homosexuals. It's their fault AIDS exists and humanity is going to hell.
Well, when you put it that way, I suppose Mr. Swurm really is doing everyone a favor.
It's almost the end of Mr. Swurm's workday. He has recently learned that he must raise the pay for all of his employees by 10%. He is worried for his family's well-being. Now they must survive on a meager $600 per week versus the $1,000 per week they have been accustomed to.
That's horrible! Any more money losses and they might drop into the upper middle class. What great poverty.
What's worse, a majority of his employees are men. He doesn't even have the advantage of the fact that women only receive 78% of what men do.
What a pity.
I hope they don't have to sacrifice any of those expensive cars and trucks they have. That would really be a pity.
Now Christian is on his way home to his wife and her flavorless cooking.
It's been a long day, and he's looking forward to getting some rest, but as always, his wife will probably impede him.
Oh, hello, honey. It's dinner time.
I think I'm just gonna go to bed tonight.
But I made you dinner. It has raisins in it. You like raisins.
If you insist.
Well, I'll be damned. Why won't she just let him sleep? He's clearly exhausted. She should know that it's much too hard for him to stay awake to eat dinner with her.
Especially when he has to chase it down.
It must be so difficult to deal with that every day. Personally, I'd rather struggle through starvation or 18-hour work days.
What a struggle he faces. Every day he must face this cycle, over and over again, until the final days of his life.
Finally, it's time for bed. Even now, his wife must make life difficult for him, her overly conservative clothes again forcing him to rely on his imagination.
She complains about how he never comes home early enough, and how he steals all of the covers at night. For hours he must listen to this nagging before she finally falls asleep and he can get a few hours of rest.
Although those hours are meager at best, usually only 8 a night, when really he should be getting 10. Though he still manages to go through work running on coffee and too little sleep every morning. That's not an easy feat.
It's morning again, and Mr. Swurm will be going throughout his day. The same old monotonous actions over and over.
The alarm shrieks, and his wife just stays asleep, not even bothering to kiss him good morning.
He turns off the alarm and makes himself some coffee, managing to burn himself on the pot. Already the day is going badly.
Look as he stomps down the stairs, frustrated with his futile efforts just to get out of the house in one piece.
He almost kicks the dog in his anger, tripping over the little rat on his way down the path to the car, and bruising his arm on the concrete.
Well, it's not as if animals have feelings or rights.
Even those dirty homosexuals have more rights than a dog.
It appears that the expensive vehicle is not starting. At least the vehicle that Christian tried to start was one of his oldest vehicles, at a record 29 days old. Mr. Swurm will now be forced to check all other 9 vehicles that he owns.
None of them are starting. Oh dear, he can't even drive himself to work this morning. What indignity!
Look as he is forced to try to call a limo. How shameful a man such as him must stoop down to such levels.
Poor Mr. Swurm is sure to be late for work today. The proud assistant CEO, soon to be CEO, late. Ugh! Even worse, the limo has cheap interior that Christian must bear until... Oh my! The limo broke down!
Mr. Swurm has now been stranded 5 blocks from his office. He must now suffer the indignity of walking or taking the disgusting communal bus.
He takes the bus so that he'll at least be less late, and is forced to cough up the extra $5 boarding fee. What's worse, the only seat left is between a hijab-wearing Muslim and a Jewish man.
Oh, Mr. Swurm! How are you doing this morning?
I could be better.
Well, I'm so glad that we could meet, because my wife, she's just so happy because of you and your company. Because of you, she's now a wonderful lawyer.
Did you say a lawyer?
Yeah, that's right. All because of your company, I've become a fantastic lawyer. I've been able to do so much since I left. It's all thanks to you.
Oh, well, stops here.
To think that anyone would be different in this world than the wonderful Christian, such an idealistic example of a human being.
To think that Mr. Swurm must endure a whole 2 minutes between these people. No wonder he leapt to pull the cord to signify that his stop had come. Who wouldn't?
To add insult to injury, he stepped in gum as he was exiting the terrible capsule of public filth. 10 minutes late Mr. Swurm arrived, to be too late to receive any of the donuts brought in by his workers. Now he will truly starve to death until lunch.
Just as Christian grudgingly sits in his $400 leather wheelie chair, his boss entered his office. Hello, Christian.
Yes?
It appears that you were 20 minutes late today. I cannot have any of my employees being late to work, not even by a minute.
But sir, it wasn't my fault. You don't understand. The car wouldn't start, and then the limo broke down, and then I was stuck on a bus full of dirty non-Christians.
Tisk, tisk, tisk. You must be on your A game every day. As penance, you will be demoted to the level of President of Accounting, just one step below your current position as Assistant CEO.
But sir, I've never been late, not once in these past 10 years. You can't demote me. I'm the lungs of this company. You can't survive without me.
I'm not firing you. You're just being demoted. Probably only temporarily, too. Calm down, Christian.
Calm down? You want me to calm down? I'll show you.
Outraged, Christian throws things off his desk at anything and everything. He runs out of the building, causing all types of chaos, pushing and shoving. Mr. Swurm walks all the way home, a whole 2 miles.
Oh, the inhumanity! To think that his boss would demote such an upstanding man as Christian. It would veritably be better to be jobless than to suffer the indignity of such a demotion.
It's not like Mr. Swurm is a narcissistic piece of garbage that does not treat any living thing with respect. Bigot, sexist, and a general jerk are all antonyms of words that would describe such a great man as Mr. Swurm.
As he walks, all pity this wonderful man with a kind spirit. Any who wouldn't would truly be out of their place in the society.
I truly hope that his shoes do not wear too thin, for there are only 1.5 inches of padding in them, along with rubber treading. How terrible it is to watch such a spectacle as this. Poor Christian is sweating profusely as he waddles along, not to mention his professionally tailored suit. It's just too much.
Finally, Mr. Swurm has arrived home. Drenched in sweat and the tears of failure and humiliation, he trudges into his house.
He walks into the living room only to find his wife having tea with a trans woman.
The horror!
Mr. Swurm is outraged, with due right. Let's see how he handles.
Oh, hello, honey. You're home early. Would you like some tea?
What is that doing in my house?
Her name is Hope, and she is my friend. We're talking about last year's elections.
I am not a that, thank you. I am a she.
Well, judging by the bulge in your pants, you indeed have male genitals. You're an it at best. And a he if I was using the proper terms.
Mr. Swurm, I am appalled! And to think that your wife spoke so highly of you.
Get out of my house, you abomination.
Honey, no, honey, it's okay. Hope, come back.
Well, that was certainly terrible. Poor Mr. Swurm, having to put up with diversity entering his household. It's bad enough that his wife is a ginger. She has to have trans friends too?
Still, no one feels bad for Hope?
Definitely not. It's her fault for being there in the first place, and Sarah's for inviting her.
All right, then.
Dirty, rotten, sinful cross-dressers!
Finally, it's time for Mr. Swurm to get some solace from his long, hard day.
He sits down in front of the 80-inch TV for the only truly peaceful and happy time in his day, and goes to turn on Fox News.
Oh, the beautiful, conservatively biased news. He couldn't wait to sink into his $500 chair and soak in everything he wanted to hear.
But look! The TV won't turn on! The horror! The pain! Poor Mr. Swurm can't even be allowed his only joy in the day. Not even for a moment. Honestly, I'd rather die than live that life.
Wow, that really was terrible. But you know what's worse than that? The people that actually believe that their first world problem is to make life impossible to live.
The people that think if they cannot get that new special item or go to that new cool party, then they will just die.
The people that believe that a damaged social life could ruin them forever.
But what about the people who aren't accepted? What about the people who were forbidden to be who they are because they simply were born differently?
The people who are born female, male, intersex, transgendered, homosexual, black, brown, or of a different culture. The people who couldn't help who they are but were and still are discriminated against and persecuted for it.
The people who follow religions that are viewed in a negative light by some, even when they are truly peaceable, and therefore hated simply because they are different. They are hung for the crimes that they never committed, segregated for believing in a different God.
Or many gods, or even none at all.
The four-legged people, the ones many view as lesser and treat with disdain and cruelty.
We are all people. Our hearts all beat. Wake up, America!